This is a letter to my father-in-law who passed on September 1st of this year. I wrote this letter to him while he was dying. Dear Rolf, while thinking about you, Rolf, some thoughts crossed my mind. These thoughts about the meaning of life and death are a work in progress, some reflections on the journey you are undertaking. I believe that there's a hierarchy of existential truths, a progression of beliefs that form faith. For me, the first of these is that God exists. I can feel and sense this to be true, so I take it to heart and believe. The answer to all of my existential questions can be found in the next truth on this hierarchy. God is love. God created all things, but exists outside of time and space. God underpins and is the ground of our being and sustains all of creation. Our history on earth is a love story, the story of our progression towards God. We are physical and spiritual beings with free will. The nexus of our physical bodies and our spirit is our consciousness. When we pass into eternity, the consciousness of our history persists as a quality of our spirit, which after death is no longer part of time and space. Our spirit is drawn to God. God holds all of our individual consciousnesses in the spirit of love, the Holy Spirit, forever. We are conscious of our past, purged of the times we turned away from love. We exist in overwhelming bliss in the midst of all we love, because that is God. St. Paul said that power is perfected in weakness. God, who is perfect, in order to create something other than itself, as God is neither male nor female, God must limit itself, otherwise the creation would be perfect and therefore not other than God. Only God is perfect. So, for the world we live in, God's creation, to exist, it must by necessity be imperfect. Thus, the potential for evil. The result of the imperfection is found in our human choices, our intention to deliberately harm love. Humans are responsible for evil in the world, but all things are possible for God, who chooses to accept us where we are and loves us unconditionally. Our fate in eternity is determined by us and how we live our lives. As we live our lives and exercise our free will, God is eternally waiting for us to turn toward love. The awareness of the love we have extended into the world in our relationships lives forever. We take our consciousness for granted. Our consciousness can directly affect our physical world. Quantum physics attests to the power of our consciousness over reality. Consciousness persists in all creation, which is both physical and spiritual. As consciousness links the spiritual with the physical, it also links us all as one with creation. A creation that is moving, evolving toward God, who draws creation back to its source. When this evolution comes to completion, God will be all in all. God is the transcendent being at the end of space and time. I do not fear death, but I fear getting there. When the time comes for me to face the end of my physical life, I will direct my consciousness to the love I have shared. So know that I love you. Dan.